assuming this is going to work. Hey, it's recording. All right. First of all, we have lots to do today, and it's Ashton's letter day. Now, if you remember, and we have to talk about this because it's Friday, we're off this week because of teacher stuff. We won't get an episode of Ashton's House of Fashion this week in our class. So I'm very sorry. I apologize. I know Kyle's broken up terribly about it. I can just tell. I can feel Curtis's pain wherever he is right now. I don't know if he's home or not. But we have today. We can at least today is Ashton's chance to put himself on display for his letter. So we're going to have Ashton. Let me mask up here. I got to make sure I do this because I can't. I'm 6 feet away from everybody. But Ashton's going to walk. We're not going to make him like prance down the aisle here. And he came the wrong way. Of course he did because it's that. Here we go. So here's Ashton. I give you Ashton Munson. All right, get out of here. Thank you so much. So, really, the word is anticlimactic, but nonetheless, there he is. It's the proof that he's wearing his, there you go. All right. All right, so there's Ashton, and I'm going to ask during this class, I think I probably can take a picture of you. Bridget, did you send that email to Mrs. Bailey yet with the picture?
Yeah, I did it yesterday.
Okay, because maybe later yesterday, because when I went past, she hadn't gotten it yet. Maybe she hadn't checked. I don't know. All right, so here's the deal. What we're doing today, we have so much to cover, and now let's refresh our memory. I do need Maddie to remind me with what we ended class with yesterday because we ran out of time. So hopefully Maddie remembers. Even if she does not, the next thing we're doing after that, I told you we have a quiz today. Our quiz is on chapter 2 of Eager. And we talked about logos, ethos, pathos, right? And I said, today's quiz is going to deal with that. So it's important for you we're going to keep practicing this. This is something that's a challenge. It's not something kids get necessarily right away. So we will work on that. And then separate from that, besides dealing with the book, we have to do a little bit of invention. We'll call it invention for the DCA. And in fact, if I remember correctly, I think, Maddie, you had a question. It was about the DCA essay, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so for a second, Maddie, go ahead, give your question because it will lead into what we're doing today.
I was asking about if the first one, like, if it had to be like good, or could it just be like put it into like an essay form, but like I was writing it and there's a lot of stuff I would change going back and reading it. Like, could I still turn that in and then just as it goes on, just like change those things in it?
And so let me translate because it was nice to see Maddie use the word like about 400 times in the space of about 10 seconds. That was impressive. That's very good. Okay. So Maddie's got a great question because I know this is the first time we've done an essay before, right? So please bear with me. I can explain this as many times as possible. I don't mind doing that because the sooner we understand it, the easier the rest of the year is. And then, of course, when you're seniors with me, it's the same sort of thing. Like it's the same structure next year too, and it'll just be easy. Like next year, you'll be a senior, you'll know 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, you'll understand all that. To answer Maddie's question, for the 1.0 draft, you can give me something like it should be halfway decent. Never, and Jack's here, so I'm admitting Jack right now, never should you be giving me something that has not been proofread. Notice that I had no time did I call this a rough draft, because I don't want you to give me something that is just a pile of goo, like just a bunch of words and we're done. I do want you to think about it. However, like Maddie's question, what she's talking about is, can you change it? You may change it all the way through. And in fact, to answer Maddie, for everybody, I hope you do. I hope you get into this. So 1.1 is when you're working with a partner in class. And I hope your partner is going to say, hey, this was pretty good, but here's some suggestions for you. I will teach you how to do that. We're not there yet. One thing at a time. So anyway, I hope you will make changes. We have some very talented writers in the class. And as a result, some of you won't need to make many changes. That's just how it goes. Others will need to make more changes. And I know, I told you this before, this DC essay is a little challenging. I understand that because it's the first JCC essay of the year. And I want to make sure we all understand it. So that's how that goes. Maddie, did that sufficiently answer your question?
Yeah, it did.
Okay. Before we do our quiz, where we get into Eager, does anyone have an additional question about writing stuff before we talk about the book? Okay, very good. And I see nobody unmuted, so I'm assuming that means there's no questions virtually too. So what I want you to do, you know the drill. Let's get out a Google Doc, right? Let's open that up. It's a 1-question quiz today. Your favorite type. She groans. That's right. That's right. It's 1-question quiz. Don't make that face at me. Look at that. That's a hurtful face. That is your, well, that's your sassy face. Kyle, don't make your face. Whatever you do, Kyle, don't do it. He's thinking about it. He's not going to do it. By the way, Kyle, are you by yourself or is somebody there with you? Is it like, your mom, but it's really Cooper? Is it one of those things or what's going on?
What did you say?
He's not even paying attention. Shame on it. Kyle, are you there?
I was getting my doc open.
Okay. Are you there by yourself or is Cooper with you? Is mom with you? Like, where are you in your room?
No, my mother in her office and I am in the living room.
Okay. Very good. All right. I thought she was the dining room she used for the office.
Yes. Her office is in the dining room.
All right. Very good. All right. Kyle's talking, but I can't hear him. So I don't know if he just like glitched out or what that is. Anyway. All right. So here's the deal. It's a 1-question quiz. It's a 1-question quiz. Very simple. And I told you this yesterday. So we talked about logos, pathos, and ethos. I'll even refresh your memory about what it is. So logos is going to be when we're talking about facts, data, statistics. It is very similar to the word logic, right? Okay, that's number one. Then we have pathos. Pathos is emotion. Pathos is going to deal with sort of things that people get upset about or get angry about. And our book has examples of this too. And then finally, ethos. Our quiz yesterday talked about ethos. You had to give an example of an expert. Ethos typically means an expert opinion or expert advice, but a little type of ethos also deals with right and wrong, black and white, like those type of things. All right, fine. Oh, hold on a question. Go ahead. What's your question? Well, yeah. So as I said, right, and if you didn't hear Meadow, my mic is here, but you might have heard her anyway. Logos is going to be where we have like numbers and data. You're going to see things, and numbers are a good sign, as I said, that it's going to be logos. Now, that's not a perfect explanation, but that's pretty typical. So here's the job. Question 1, the only question for the quiz on chapter 2 of Eager. Using the book, told you yesterday, using the book, tell me what you saw. Logos, ethos, pathos. What did you see in chapter 2? And I want examples. Now, you virtual people, I don't want you to pull the book open. I do want you to go off your memory because the people here are doing that. You know how that works. But let's see what we got. Logos, ethos, pathos in chapter 2. What did you see? It's right now about 217 if my minute hand is correct today. So let's see where you are. 222. 222, quiz, logos, ethos, pathos, chapter 2 of Eager. And I'm going to mute myself, but I can still hear all of you. We are about halfway through our time for the quiz. There's a lot to do today, so I don't really want to extend it any longer than I have to. So again, by halfway through, Logos, Ethos, Pathos, examples from chapter 2 of Eager, please. As we're winding down on time, we still have a little bit of time left, about a minute or so. You know to share it with me. As soon as you're done, please share it. When I see you pop up on the screen, that means I'll know that you're done. You shared the quiz with me and you're ready to go. I do understand, of course, that there's not a lot of time, but you'll give me the basics and I'll be able to understand that we know where we are. So once again, I'm looking to see your smiling faces. And then I know that you're done with the quiz. And I'm not muting. We'll leave it live for the time being. Connor, did you get a haircut? No? All right. Did you like tie it back in a ponytail? Like what's going on? It just looks smaller than.
No, this is actually the longest my hair has ever been.
Oh, all right. I guess I need to pay better attention. My apologies. Doesn't look like. Do you see a picture? It looks like it's shorter. Landon does pay it.
It's actually pretty long.
All right. You all, it's not helping me at all. I thought it looked like Connor's hair was shorter, but it's longer. I'm confused. No, I said it looked like it. Hey, we're done. You got to submit. Let's go. Get that sent on, please. And then we can begin the rest of the stuff we have to do today. We'll talk about the quiz. We'll wait just a few minutes again, or a few seconds, I should say, because we do have a bunch of stuff to do. Still don't see Kyle. Apparently, T has a purple bedroom, which is peculiar. Still no Kyle. And Cooper, I still see Mr. Wakely, which is always a sign that something's wrong. So see that Coop's alive somewhere. Finish up. Okay, while people are submitting their stuff to me.
Trying to finish up.
Kyle, I can't hear you. What, buddy?
I'm just trying to finish this up real quick.
All right, go ahead. So I'm getting notifications while I'm using this on my phone that you guys are submitting stuff to me very quickly. So I spoke to Mr. Goldfarb, our book's author, and I did tell him the sadness of our DEC officer that did not reply to us, and we will punish her in the afterlife. But Mr. Goldfarb will be here on Monday. Now we have to figure out how that's going to work. Let's rehash where you should be. So this week we're doing chapter 1, 2, 3. For Monday's class, you should be through chapter 4. Feel free to read extra, but I'm not expecting that of you. In 40 minutes, because we've done this with Mr. Goldfarb before, in 40 minutes, you should have a pretty good understanding of everything through chapter 4, because that's where he's going to be talking about. There's not really spoilers in the book. It's not like a nonfiction story like we'll read later in the year that deals with an event in history. This is all just, talking about this one species. So be ready for it. So now let's talk about the extra credit, because I want you all to sound and look intelligent, because you all are. I'd like you to actually demonstrate that. So what that means is sometime today, I haven't had a chance yet because he and I Mr. Goldfarb and I just went back and forth. Sometime today, I'm going to create an assignment in Google Classroom. This is for extra credit. As I said, saying, I want to know what questions you have for him. So saying, what's your first name is not a good question. You will get no credit for that. And you will get a flogging for that. But we want something intelligent. We're talking about Logos, Ethos, Pathos. We're talking about things that happen out in nature. I know some of you enjoy nature more than others, and that's something worth talking about. Plus, I know there's a few of you, you guys that are virtual, there's a couple of you that want to write. You're interested in that in some fashion. Think about what you might like to ask him. Look up Ben Goldfarb. The stuff I can, if you type in Ben Goldfarb in Google, you'll go to his website. It's this, I couldn't believe he's written a lot of stuff in the last year or two. He keeps writing a lot. So for a young guy, and I hate to say that, he's writing a lot, and he does have a new book coming out. What we're reading now, Eager, is award-winning. It's won a bunch of stuff. So I'm excited. I always like talking to him. He's a pretty nice guy, and of course, he's gracious enough to allow us to speak to him. So be ready for that. But I'll open up that assignment so you have a chance for extra credit. So you know your grades. I don't have them in front of me right now. If you would like the points, then keep that in mind, please. Be aware of that. So, and that's for Monday. So now let's get into the quiz question. Let's get into that. Logos, ethos, pathos. Again, I remind you that you need to be speaking. We have today and tomorrow. We don't have a lot of time this week to speak because you have no school Friday. So logos, ethos, pathos. Unmute, that tells me that you have something to say. And of course, we have people here. So let's pretend. So I see Kate's hand first. And I see Bridget just unmuted. Bridget, Maddie, Hallie, and Cooper. So let me start with those four. Behind me, I've got Kate. So Kate's going to tell us her example. If that was your example, please don't duplicate examples. I'll repeat that. Please don't duplicate examples because we'll hear from all of you. But I want to make sure that we don't repeat the same thing because we don't have a lot of time. So Kate, if you could share, I think they'll be able to hear you.
A logos example.
Share what?
A logo.
Okay, so thank you. Kate's going to start with a logos example, which I know there's a bunch of those. Kate, go ahead, please.
So I believe it was page 53 possibly.
Okay, she has a page number. Good.
And I believe he was talking about a professor, and he was saying about how since the beavers were making a percentage come back, it was allowing like these rare butterflies to make a significant increase and come back.
Okay, so with the use of numbers.
Yeah, with
Okay.
these numbers, they have the percentages and everything as well.
So Kate's talking about the percentage of numbers. So the beavers coming back to their habitat allowed this increase in butterfly, which by the way, what's that?
It's a rare butterfly.
It's a rare butterfly. This is a common theme in this book. Basically, one of the things, if you haven't caught, Mr. Goldfarb is going to say that beavers are incredibly beneficial to the ecosystem. And so using statistics and data, somebody's out there measuring butterflies, and I don't know, it doesn't say how, but they're.
Well, yeah, like it was at a like an army base or something like that. Like they asked like the guy before he goes to measure how many butterflies they're reproducing, he asked for like a total of 24 hours of silence.
Yeah, and I will tell you that when it comes to this in real life, separate from this book, there are people literally out there catching butterflies or catching birds or whatever, not killing them and all that stuff, but catching them so they can release them. And that's a thing that people do to measure stuff. So that's logos. I'll take that. That's a great example. Thank you. So Coop, are you logos too?
Yeah.
Okay, Coop, why don't you go ahead with your logos example and then we'll move on to someone else. Go ahead, Coop.
I gotta look at it.
Yep. And then
the book talks about the pelt trading with the Hudson Valley Company and how they made almost 300,000 furs that were almost all from Canada.
And I'd agree with that too. I would accept that too, because when you give a piece of data, because by the way, 300,000 is a big number. I mean, we understand hundreds of years ago how big those numbers are. I mean, $20 today is $20, but $20, you get into like a long time ago when the dollar first came out, that buys way more than it did today. Yeah, you could buy, well, more than that. Yeah, you could buy lots of stuff. And so when you're giving a huge number of pelts like that, that's a data point. And I would argue that that's logos. And that's an example of what we're talking about. So thank you. Coop, we'll take that. Hallie, you had your hand up, and Bridget did too. So let's go Bridget first because she's already unmuted. Go ahead, Bridget. What do you have? Is it logos, pathos, ethos? What do you got?
I'm gonna do pathos.
Let's go.
Okay. So there was a part in the chapter where it was talking about, I can't remember the name, but it was a Native American tribe, and they were saying how they had this like beaver god, and that beaver god gave them like the water and the land and their food and stuff like that. And so that's why they're so nice to the beaver. And then there was one guy who tried to kill a beaver in their tribe, and the god did not like that, and it took its wife.
Okay, so you get, and of course, I guess maybe for that one we'd use the emotion of anger, right? Because when somebody is doing, by the way, this is all society. Forget about like Romans, Greeks, Native Americans. I mean, today you start talking about like you angered God, like those are things against God. That's still something people say. So I would say that you're going to anger a God, you're going to anger the people. And so, yeah, Bridget, I'd say that that's going to be an example of pathos. Thank you so much. Let's go because Maddie was most recently unmuted. So we'll go Maddie and then Hallie, and we'll see if anybody else has to. You had your hand up. Ashton did raise his hand. So we'll go Maddie, then Ashton, then Hallie. Maddie, go ahead.
I have an ethos.
Okay, go ahead. Let's go.
And one example is when, like, the butterfly guy, the Nick Haddad, when he met him, he was explaining how he was gonna build his own aquatic dams to try to get the butterflies to come back. And when he did that, they slowly like increased.
So I think I know the answer, but I actually want you to say it. So how is that an example of ethos, please?
Because the Nick Haddad was an expert.
Okay. And he talks about, because of course he's able to build that stuff, but he can only do that because he's an expert. So yeah. So his opinion is like an expert opinion. And absolutely, Maddie, I'll definitely take that. Thank you. I think that counts. So we're going to get Ashton and Hallie, but we have an example of all three so far in one chapter, which by the way, is not a surprise. Kyle, are you unmuting because you have one too?
Yep.
All right, Ashton, and then Hallie, and then Kyle. Ashton.
I have an ethos.
Let's go ethos.
Near the beginning, he enters the tent where the man is selling the hides and things.
Yes.
And there's a bunch of different animals. There's the beaver, and we learned, which I didn't even know, that the beaver tail actually is something that you can eat.
Yeah, okay, so now he's talking about the edible beaver tail and Landon's smiling. So before I get a story out of him, did you eat one before?
No, but
Now he's going to. He's like, oh, beaver tail, they taste good. You what? All right. It is. So if you know, and I think he's a sophomore now, Andy Sheldon.
Yep.
So Andy Sheldon, when we did this book 2 years ago, Andy Sheldon was bringing in pictures of, like, he got this, like an 80-pound beaver. Have you seen those pictures?
it's a big
Which I didn't, whatever. I didn't realize they were that big, but they also can be quite violent and dangerous. So he brought this picture in, and it's Andy, who's not a small kid, holding this beaver pelt up, and it's huge. And so we're talking about that. Andy already knew all about it. I think Andy's eaten beaver tail. Well, he's eaten beaver, which is horrifying and disgusting, but that's all right. God bless him. I don't even think the author's eaten beaver. I'll ask him, like, I think he's had some, but just to like say he had it. It's not like he eats it on purpose. Not like venison or anything like that, but so talk about the beaver tail, and Landon's like, yes, I will have some beaver tail. Excellent. And again, people claim it's good. So how does that help us out? Just the same question that I asked Maddie a second ago. How is that ethos?
Well, he also, the guy in the tent also kind of talks about how they trap and kill the beaver. How
Okay.
they kill them, their strategies, like how they empty the waterway, and then they used to go in there with spears. Once they took their natural resource away, they would go looking, and once they found them, they would go and spear them or whatever tool they were using. With
Okay.
Clubs, they would hit them.
Now you're kind of answering the question, but I'm just looking for you to take that little half step further. So what makes that ethos?
We learn because he most likely is an expert since he has the pelts and things like that.
Okay, so he's like an expert.
He's telling the author how some things that the author, I'm sure, did not know
Sure.
about, and the ethos is about experts and stuff.
Okay. And Landon added, which you may or may not have heard, is like an expert trapper, which is of course a thing, like legit. Go ahead.
If you've done like 2 or 3 seasons, you could be considered not a novice trapper.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, it is hard.
It's hard work. I mean, it's, all like, I don't do it. I'm aware of what it is, but I haven't done it myself, but it's hard work. And so you could say that it's like, he's like an expert at that. I would take that because he's talking about stuff he knows, right? I'll take that. By the way, I know expert is kind of like a negotiable term, but that's fine for now. Hallie, then Kyle, and then we have to move into other things. So Hallie, you're up.
I had an example of ethos, and
Let's
it
go.
was with the part where Bridget, I was adding on to that. Rosalina LaPierre was the ethnobotanist for the Blackfeet tribe. So she grew up in the tribe, she grew up in the native lands. So she knew how their religion connected to the beavers, and how they're so important because they used everything a part of them. And that they help them with their, I guess, improving their society.
Okay, and you said something very important there. Like there's Native Americans, specifically the one we're talking about here in the book. You know, they talk about how they use everything; nothing's wasted. And so, to do that, you have to be kind of an expert at doing those things. And I think that's an example of someone who's an expert. So, absolutely, Hallie, that works. Kyle, finish us off here, please. What do you have an example of, please?
Has anyone done Pathos yet?
We had, yeah, we've done all three, but I think there was just one Pathos. Go ahead.
Okay. For Pathos, I was saying the butterflies, because people usually like relate butterflies to like maybe like passed on souls, or like it's really just like pure and stuff, and people can like connect to those things like through their emotions. So by showing how destructive the deforestation was to the butterflies, people like would want to stop the destruction of the beaver dens and stuff.
Okay, and now see, that's a really interesting way you did it. You kind of proved it, but you proved it with the opposite. In other words, like, let me phrase that a little bit better. You know, this is an example where maybe everyone doesn't especially like beavers, and that, in case you have not seen this, and I mean in the book, I don't mean like in real life, because beavers smell kind of bad. If you didn't know that, beavers smell kind of awful, which we'll get into later on. In fact, Maddie, have you talked to your sister about this book or not?
Yeah, she said some stuff about it.
Did she talk about their butts, or did she not talk about that? Because that was a whole.
Isn't it something with like how they like? Yeah.
Is she there? Is she right there?
No, it's Izzy.
Okay, all right. Go ahead.
But something about the smell of it, and
Yeah.
it attracts like mating.
Yes, and so. No, hold on. A couple of years ago, when your sister's in the class, if I remember correctly, our favorite phrase, we actually talked about that with Mr. Goldfarb, beaver butt juice. So that came up on a regular basis. And that's because of the smell. So to go back to what Kyle said, so that's kind of hard for people to be really excited about, like people out there, but everybody loves butterflies. They're pretty, they're this, they're that. So using the emotions of people and butterflies and how beautiful they are, quote unquote, helps to also keep beavers more safe or more secure or whatever else you want to put it. So Kyle, I like that a lot. You're talking about the people tied to that emotion, which helps this animal over here. So Kyle, that's really good. I like that a lot. Okay, so are there any more questions or points where I can give you like maybe a moment or two about the Logos, Ethos, Pathos for chapter 2? Anything else about that before we shift gears a little bit and do something else? Nobody around here, nobody virtual. Okay, so now I'm going to ask you to do something a little bit different, and I'm going to kind of force you to work on Essay 1.0 right now, the DCA. So help me out, and I'll let you choose. If you're virtual, and Curtis, for some reason, I still can't see Curtis, but if you're virtual and you're going to use a Google, oh, there he is, very good. I was going to say, I didn't know if that was your background, Mr. Wakely was your background. There you go, all right. I just saw Wakely's head right there in the screen there. If you want to do a Google Doc, cool. If you want to use your notebook, because I know some of you like to write, you're welcome to use either one. For future reference, when we do something like this, you can just simply take a picture of your writing in a notebook and give that to me. But we aren't collecting paper this year. I think we've talked about that. So please note, I don't want to get paper from you. Even though I like to write on paper first and foremost, we're not doing it that way. We have to kind of talk through this. I'm going to tell you what to do. I'm going to give you a little bit of time to write something, and then we're going to talk about it as a class, because I know from my experience with the DCA before, I can tell you what I want right now, and not everyone's going to quite get that. And so we have to kind of do this as a community, which is ironic because that's part of what this essay is about. So here's your job. In your Google Doc, in your notebook, or whatever you want to, I'm going to ask you to make a list. I want you to make a list, and this list is not very challenging. I want you to make a list of every community that you're a part of. I'll repeat that, and then I'll give you one example, and then I want you to go. I'm going to give you only like 3 minutes because we're short on time, and we're going to use this list and keep working with it tomorrow. So once again, the question is, make a list of every community you're a part of. For instance, all of you, even Fegley, who got here late, because I have to say that all the time, all of you are a member of the Panama community. So that's an example of a community that you're all part of. You could say you're also all juniors. That's a community you're a part of, right? So now what I want you to do, I'm giving you 3 minutes. Make as big a list as you can. No game. Just do it. It's going to help you for the next step. But make a list of as many communities as you're a part of as possible. 3 minutes is going to take us to about 2:43. And we'll have the announcements. I am leaving the mic open, but the announcements, will get interrupted in a second. So 3 minutes, please. And I know some of you are already typing and starting. As many communities as you can think of that you're a part of. Please go.
I have a question.
Yes, T?
Is it just in Panama or is
Oh,
it?
no. I just gave you an example of everyone being a Panama community, but like I know you do like travel cheer, competitive cheer, so that was not a Panama thing. So you could write that down. Does not have to just be Panama.
Okay,
And
thank
Kyle,
you.
Kyle, you unmuted too?
Yeah, is it just stuff we're in right now, or like whenever, like even
No, it could have been in
more-
the past. Could have been in the past. That's fine. Yep, that's okay.
Okay.
And we got about a minute left, so because we are going to say a few things. So yeah, a minute left. Most people didn't get the awful 20p. By the way, it wasn't awful. That took you some time to do, probably.
It took me about 10 minutes at the
Yeah.
diner, go tie in all
At-
together, yeah.
Telling you, Landon, shameful Landon Moore. About 30 seconds to finish this up by my awful minute hand on the clock. This does not have to be, there's no target number where you need 20, you need 10, you need 5, you need 30. There's no number, just to get you as many as you can. We'll be interrupted by the announcements in a second. You know that. So if you hear that, I'm going to stop talking and we'll continue afterwards. Also, quick aside, I feel like every year there's 1 or 2 juniors that knows exactly where they want to go to college. They know where they want to go. They know what they want to do. And they just like to have that done, right? So if you're one of those people and you have an interest, I can help you get started on your college admissions essay, which leads into something we do senior year. I'm mentioning any of that because what you just did is a little bit like that process for the college admissions essay, which again, is something that we work on in class. It's a whole other thing. So we'll talk about that later on. But here's what I want you to do. Before we talk, look at your list. I haven't heard from Jack today. Jack, how many are on your list? Jack. Jack.
I have 14 currently.
That's a very good number. Fegley, how many are on your list, Fegley? Fegley.
9.
9. I was going to say they're not unmuting. I don't know what's happening. Skyla, hello, fabulous. How many do you have on your list? Skyla.
I have 15, but I'm not sure if half of them count. So
Okay, well, let's do that. Let's actually do a little triage right now, a little writing thing. Look at your list. Right now, I want you to circle, star, check off, square. If you're using your iPad, bold it. I want you to select the 2 you like best so far, or let's put it differently, the 2 communities that you identify with the most, or maybe the 2 newest, like you're using them right now. I want to also remind you, as I see people here working, Save everything. I've told you this for portfolio stuff. Don't delete anything. Save this file. If you're using paper, save the paper. Don't delete anything. All of this stuff matters. Question from behind me?
Yeah, so do I have to have this list on like my 1.0?
No, no, not at all. If you didn't hear Meadows' question, it's a good question. Is this part of 1.0? The answer is no, but it leads us to 1.0, which is kind of why we're doing this right now. And Fegley, you can be unmuted as long as you want, but I'm just giving you a heads up if you did not know you are not muted. So there you go. All right. Fegley starts swearing in the background. I'm sure you've never raised your voice or sworn before. I'm just throwing that out there. Don't smile at that. That's not funny. Okay. Now, you should have identified a couple. I don't know why it's telling me that Zoom is about to happen because it's happening right now. I want to go around everybody that's virtual, every single one of you unmute, and I'm going to call on you and I want you to give me one. I don't want all of them. I want one. Hallie, give me your favorite so far, or one of them so far.
Swimming.
Swimming. You may now mute. Thank you. So, once you got it from me, then you can mute. Bridget, give me one.
Female community.
Email community?
Female.
Female. I was gonna say, I don't know what's an email community. I don't even know what that is, but thank you for adding the consonant at the beginning there. The female. Is there a female community? Are you aware of a female community? I was unaware that there's a female. All right, fine. I'll take it.
I think she just means that she's female.
What's that? What's that?
I think she just means that she's female. I don't.
All
think
right,
it
so
was
you're okay.
Just
All right.
being female.
I don't know if there's like a secret squad or something I should be aware of that I heard nothing about because I have daughters. Should I know about this female community? I don't know. Coop, what's yours? Give me one.
My favorite?
Yes.
You're
You're killing me, dude. Just choose one. Huh? PCS, Panama.
Yeah.
All right.
PCS.
All right. You may mute. Thank you, Kyle. You're up.
Football.
Football. Ashton, you're up. Hunting. Curtis, you're up.
Football.
By the way, it's startling to see your forehead so close to the screen and looming behind you is that was Mr. Wakely. There you go. That's better. You being further away is better. All right. Give me one, Landon. Criminal justice student community. We'll take it. Jack, give me yours.
The ginger community.
The ginger community. All right. Don't encourage him. All right. Let's not do that. All right. Let's not encourage him. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Maddie, give me yours.
High school basketball.
High school basketball. Give me yours, Kate. Early risers, like getting up early in the morning? All right. I'll take it. I've never seen someone talk about that. I'll take that one. You're up, Meadow. Julia Bulia.
Volunteering.
Volunteering. Fegley.
Soccer.
I have no idea what you just said because it cut out. Soccer?
Soccer.
Soccer, right. Tea. Is it going to be horses for tea? What is it?
Oh, I didn't even put that.
I know that better than you do. Nice. Okay, what do you got?
Explosion All-Stars.
Cheerleading All-Stars nonsense shenanigans?
Explosion.
Okay. Hold on, announcements. Okay, so we have about 3 minutes left. So T, thank you. And by the way, thank you everyone for volunteering one. Let's talk quickly about personal information. No one volunteered anything personal. You are welcome to write about something that is emotional to you. That is something, because every year there's one or two. They end up being something that's deeply personal and emotional and arguably upsetting. You're welcome to do that. I won't make you, number one. Number two, we have to peer review. So if you end up choosing something that is that emotional and personal to you, please note that I can take requests for who to put you with. I want you to be comfortable, right? Now, no one just offered something that is, other than the female community, whatever that is. Hey, Annie, did you know there's a female community? My daughter over there has no idea that there's a female community. Did you know that? I don't know. That's what I don't know. There's a female community. Did you know that? That's what I see. See, where is it? She wants to go to the clubhouse, apparently, is what she wants to know. So here's the deal. So your job is right now, here's what I think you should do for 1.0. You just did this and I kind of forced you to think spontaneously. So you didn't have to sit there and agonize over it. So you came up with a list. You don't have to use what you just said, but my suggestion is take something off your list and start writing. And here's what you should be writing for 1.0. How do you fit into this community? If you're going to use early risers, like I heard from you, from Kate behind me, if you can use early risers, how do you fit in that community? And then also add why. Like, how did you get into that community? So not how are you? Like, oh, I like to get up early. Like you said, all those things you do. There you go, which apparently are 4 things that I guess you have to like if you're in early risers. More than that, though, like why? Why did you start being in that community? Is it something like maybe if T had said horses and equestrian shenanigans and all that stuff, well, that's her mom, and that's somebody that they like. For volunteering, Julia said volunteering. I don't know if Julia volunteers because the family volunteers or if Julia just wanted to do that on her own. Obviously, I can understand why you're in the female community because you're a female, so I think that's one's easy, but I could be wrong. I don't know. Had Hallie said the yak raising community, Hallie doesn't have the scoot to buy a yak, so it'd be mom or dad would have to be the ones that would sport for the yaks that she would learn all her knowledge from and be a member of the, what, it's not yaks or what, bovine or cow. Equine is horses. What are yak? Do you know what that thing is for yet? The Latin term for yaks, or you don't know what that is?
No.
Like feline, canine, lupine, ursine.
Yeah, I know.
Bears?
Know it.
All right, we're gonna have to look that up because that's
Okay,
yak.
I have a question.
The yak attack, which is horrible. All right, so look, it's time to go. So you have reading that's going to be due. You know that tomorrow we're going to come right back to this because I want to spend some time with this, and then the logos, ethos, pathos, how this fits with this essay because that's part of it. I strongly suggest. I know I've asked you to read the assignment sheet that you have posted. I strongly suggest you take a look at that, especially if you're a little confused. So that's important. And before we roll, Ashton here's got a question. Yeah.
So do we submit that assignment for 1.0 or will you do another one for 1.1?
I'm going to do a bin for every single one because it's important we save them. I'm worried if I don't, like I'll have a record of it then. I'm worried if I don't, then you might accidentally overwrite your old other one and you'll lose it. I want you to keep everything. So I'm going to create a bin for all of them individually.
As soon as we're done tonight, turn it in.
That's correct. So I'm going to add this to you so you can see that. Go ahead.
The Latin term is vox chorus, which is family.
He looked it up on Wikipedia, what these, I don't even know what that is. I'll look. I'll make sure Landon's doing the right thing. Have a good day, guys. I do have to take a picture of Landon before he leaves. Have fun. We'll see you tomorrow.